I have another use for that substitute meat, that deli meat that I have. And that's actually making a banh mi. Now a banh mi, the important thing about a banh mi is the bread. Now I have trouble getting Vietnamese bread, so I use a baguette instead. It's not as good, it has a different texture to it, but it still comes out with a decent sandwich. And banh mi sandwich itself is supposed to have a couple of ingredients to it. It's supposed to have something spicy, something sweet, and something sour. That's kind of the idea. And then you have a little bit of crunch in there, and you add a couple of other things to give it a little texture. And it's a very texturally pleasing dish. It's a sandwich that just has some really nice things to it. It had a lot of flavors, a lot of flavor combinations. It's like a flavor explosion in your mouth. So I really like this, making this. Now a traditional one would have some kind of meat in it, maybe like a lemongrass pork or something. Now I'm just gonna use the deli meat, and that's okay. But I might actually next time take some tofu and like bake it with some lemongrass to make it a little better, because you can do some different things to kind of mix it up a little bit. So I'll just start with this as a sort of a base, and next time I'll probably change it up a little bit. But this is something I really like because I like the textural components and the way it comes together. All right, so let's get started. I said that Vietnamese bread, the banh mi bread, would work the best. I didn't have any. I don't have access to it easily, so I would normally use a French bread, but I couldn't find any in my freezer. I tend to keep some breads in my freezer. Couldn't find it, so I'm going to use a ciabatta. Now, you can use whatever kind of spicy sauce you'd like here. You want to put something on it. Traditionally, it would be like slices of jalapenos. I don't have any currently. You could use sriracha, spicy mayo, some other kind of spicy sauce, maybe a little something that's got a little flavor. For me, what I decided to do was make my own essentially Korean barbecue sauce. It's soy sauce, ginger, garlic, sesame oil, a little bit of mirin, and then a little bit of cayenne powder. And among those things, I get a nice flavor combination that works pretty well in the sandwich. It gives a little bit of spice, but a lot of flavor. So I'm going to go ahead and spread that around on there. You can use, again, whatever you like, whatever spice you like. I tend to like a sriracha on here is really a good choice, but I didn't have any. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and take some of those deli slices that I had before. These are smoked flavored, so they're kind of nice. They actually work pretty well. A nice base for the sandwich. It gives it a lot of texture, and it doesn't overwhelm it too much. Tofu works here well too. I could have done something with a little bit of lemongrass. That would have been nice. It just kind of gives it that extra bit of flavor. But since I didn't have any, I'll just go ahead and fold a couple of these slices up and put them on there. And that should work just fine. It'll give me that base, a little bit of a filling, it makes it a little more filling in a way, and kind of brings it together a little bit. So it's kind of a nice choice for this particular dish. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get together my other ingredients. I'm going to need something crunchy, something that's got a little tartness to it, and so I'll get those few things together. I'm going to go ahead and put my sandwich meat away, and I'll get those other things out. So next up, I've been marinating some vegetables in a little bit of vinegar. And this is mainly mirin, and it's a little bit of other vinegars just to give it a little flavor. So I'm going to take some cucumbers out that I've got in there and just put them across here. And that's going to give it that tanginess that I want. It's really going to provide a nice flavor to it. Now, I could put some of the carrots from here in here too, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and just continue with some cucumbers, and then I'm going to take a few of my red onions that I've done, because that'll give it just a little bit of bite and a little more flavor, and that'll work pretty well, I think, in this dish. And then next up, I'm going to go ahead and just take some carrots that I've sliced up. So I've got some carrots that'll give it some crunch, and I'll go ahead and just lay those across here to get that crunchiness. So that'll give me a little crunch. You know, it's all about textures and flavors in this dish. So I'm going to go ahead and put the carrots across, just lay them across my bread just like this. A little tricky sometimes. The carrots tend to fall off on top of all the other stuff, but that's okay. It's going to work out all right. So as soon as I get the carrots on there, next up I've got a bunch of cilantro. I love cilantro on the sandwich. I think it adds so much to it, so I always put a bunch. And then I just go ahead and push it down, and that's my sandwich. That's it. That's all I do to it. It's a really terrific sandwich to eat, and if you start with the right kind of bread and you get just the right amount of spice in there, you've got something that's amazing. So I highly recommend this. Totally vegetarian. In fact, it's just something that you can just whip up. You saw it just took me a couple of minutes to bring it together, and you get this sandwich. Just phenomenal. So there you go. That's my version of a banh mi sandwich.